This is my second season back after my injury. I had a labral tear in my right hip and a few issues in my lower back. And I struggled for quite a few years. I should have gone quite a lot earlier, but I just thought I was weak and tried to work it out in the gym, and which made it even worse. So I ended up having surgery on my right hip, and I had a year off because I hadn't hit a golf ball in 12 months. I went to Dr. Kakic, or his nickname is Dr. Chuck, and actually Buhai went to him. She recommended Dr. Chuck to me, and he's actually seen quite a few golfers and athletes alike. So we're really lucky. I don't have to go far to look for good surgeons. I don't know if I'm considered lucky if I'm looking for surgeons, but yeah.
My name is Josip Čakić, but everybody calls me Chuck. My interest was always in hips since I was a medical student, and specifically in a sports part of the whole spectrum of problems. Having somebody like Nicole, who is a world-known professional golfer, it always makes you nervous and you don't want to make any mistakes, because that's in treating the professionals, that's always a fear that you're going to interfere with a further career. So she came at that time, I think she was 27, and she came in 2018, and she was complaining of the pain, which she could not reach certain amount of turn when she does the swing, and certain forces going through the pelvis to transfer that is in a golf, that speed through the ball. And we identified the problem, and she had a condition which is called a cam. Now that word comes from camshaft, mechanically from the car. So that essentially is a little bump that person can have it naturally or development on a bone. So I always explain to my patients is imagine that you have a bump on a door. You will be able to have a functional door, but the last 2% doesn't fit into the frame. So you need to file it off to actually allow that passage without any disturbance. And this is exactly an analogy what I did to her.
So after the operation, it took 11 months before I could chip. I did try after 6 months, and I had the same pain, if not worse. The injury in my lower back hadn't been dealt with yet. I had mentioned to the surgeons beforehand that I think there's a problem in my back as well as my hip, but they were focused on the hip. So because I didn't do a lot of movement in those few months, I could feel there was still a bit of pain in my lower back, but only until I started hitting again did I notice that it was quite significant. I had a few treatments and injections into the spine and all sorts to sort that out, and it is okay. It generally is much better, but I would say it was just over 12 months before I could hit a full shot. I was more looking forward to being able to play pain-free because I was in a lot of pain. But once I'd had the surgery and I realized how big of a surgery it was, I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to get back into competitive golf.
There are patients that don't recover, but mainly because of fact that it was underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed, and sometimes does happen. Luckily, up to now, I did not have any of professional sports people who actually had to give up their career. And I think the reason for it is because they don't wait. If I have to choose between treating 10 professionals and 10 weekend warriors, I always go with the 10 professionals. And the reason why, because they are determined. That is their business, and they want to get better. For me, this is much more stressful, but I know that they're going to trust me. I know that they're going to follow to the teeth, and then I know they're going to do everything to get better.
It was really difficult because I wasn't 100% sure if I would be able to play golf. It was 12 months, no hitting balls, to think that, you might never be able to go back to the sport that you love. So it was difficult. I kept myself occupied with other things, just spending time at home with my cat. Everyone will know that I want to get back to my cat. I'm a cat person, so I started woodworking. I'd always done a little bit of that before, but basically all the furniture we have in our apartment. Yeah, so my sister and I made a little business out of it, and I did tables for restaurants and all sorts. So I'd really kept myself busy trying to make a possible different future for myself if I couldn't play golf, but thankfully it all worked out okay. My whole routine changed from before the surgery to now. I used to be able to just rock up on the tee box if I wanted to. Not in a tournament, obviously I would still go hit balls, but I can't even go hit balls now before I've stretched for 45 minutes at least. As much as the girls are my family on tour, Philippa, the physio, is also my family on tour. So she sees me anything between 2 to 3 times a week to 6 times a week to try and strengthen the right muscles and loosen the right one. A lot of deep tissue massage, so I had a lot of that. There, obviously, I've got scar tissue and that kind of thing, so it's completely changed the way that my hips move in the swing. My maturity in the game has taken a lot longer than it maybe should have in terms of how I think about shots, how I think my way around the golf course management. I could always hit the ball. I've always been a good ball striker, but my actual course management and picking the right golf shot has taken a long time. So I'm not sure if it was the injury that's made me more consistent or if it was age and then also determination to get back out on tour and perform injury-free, which is a change. I got to the Investec SA Open and I ended up finishing third in that one and I qualified for the US Open. I was like, oh, okay. I was not prepared. It was definitely too soon to go play a major, especially at the golf course that we played. It was at the Olympic Club in San Francisco. Just the pressure and the fact that my body couldn't hold the positions under pressure at that point. I was still quite weak. Hadn't practiced, so you can imagine your technique is not very consistent. And I had an absolute nightmare there.
They're all coming in and say, okay, I'm going to be fixed and tomorrow I'm done. I always tell my patients, it's not a computer. Control-delete doesn't work. It doesn't come from the start. It actually takes time, takes a muscle memory, takes a nature to heal, to get back to normal.
And that also sets you back a little bit mentally playing other professional events. Am I good enough? Should I be back? Am I wasting my time? And am I wasting everybody else's time? So it was maybe not a good thing in a way that I went to go play majors so early in the season. But it was good fun and I learned a lot. And although it probably broke me mentally more than anything else, I probably shouldn't have gone. It was a good experience and hopefully I'm stronger coming out of that than I would have been not playing.
She was a great patient following everything and I think the history shows that it worked.
This last season, the 2022 season, I had quite a few good finishes, a few top 10s. And in those top 10s, I had 2 Aramco Team Series wins where I was the captain, which was incredible.
Nicole Garcia has been a winning captain twice at London and now here in Jeddah this year. And then a 3rd place in the individual. That's a joint best result of the season. Good year for the South African.
At the moment, I'm the only captain to have 2 wins under my belt, which is really exciting, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do it again and again. I really love the team format. I think that's what brings out the best in my golf. Golf is an individual sport and we don't often get to play team sports, and I love being around people. I have that type of personality. I feel like it brings the best out in myself, and not only myself, but the other girls that I'm playing with, and we just have an absolute blast on the golf course, and the results show. The only thing that I could tell them, which is advice that I had from pros that before me that had the same surgery, was don't come back too soon. I think everybody feels like the sooner I can come back, the sooner I have to start hitting balls. Give your body time to heal. Take more time than you think you need to recover. Golf or any other sport that you're playing will always be there. And I think the better that you recover, the more chances you have of having a longer career.